It's time for the Lord of the Rings: The Return of the King review for the Gamecube. If you didn't know from my Third Age review, I love Lord of the Rings, and I'm really looking forward to the Hobbit movie, which just happens to come out on my birthday. If you're not familiar with the Lord of the Rings, this game is the third movie of the trilogy. The game starts you near the end of the battle for Helm's Deep as Gandalf, and even though this is really the tutorial of the game, you must be on your guard as soon as it starts, because you can die really quickly. When you complete that level, which should only take a few minutes, the game takes you to the part of the movie where Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli enter the Haunted Mountain. The majority of the game is you playing as one of these three characters through different levels of the game, which are taken from scenes in the movie. However, if you've seen the movie, you will notice that this gameplay footage is not in the movie. Nowhere in the movie do you see the trio battling against ghosts and killing them somehow. Anyway, the point is that basically this whole level doesn't exist in the movie. Now, I've never read the Lord of the Rings books, so if this level is the equivalent to a part in the book, then okay, I understand why the developers put this in. But if it's not, it just doesn't make sense. Well, I guess it makes some sense. The game is already pretty short, so not putting this level in, as well as other levels which didn't really happen in the movie, more spin-offs than anything, would make the game very short. Once you complete a certain amount of levels with the trio, other branches of levels will be opened up to you. The left side of the map tree is Gandalf's levels, and the right side is with Frodo, Sam, and Smeagol. This game is pretty fun playing in single-player mode, but is way more fun playing co-op mode. Now with the trio, it's understandable. One plays as Aragorn, Legolas, or Gimli, and the other player chooses among them as well. With Frodo's levels, one is Frodo and the other is Sam. However, with Gandalf's, one is Gandalf and the other is someone from the trio. Yes, it doesn't make sense, but then again, battling the Balrog in Third Age with Gandalf didn't make sense either, but it was still fun, and that's how it is with this game. If you're a die-hard fan of the Lord of the Rings, then this game might upset you a bit, because quite a bit of it is created for the game itself. The game is a real-time RPG. Killing opponents will give you XP, with fast consecutive kills giving you more XP than kills farther apart from each other. As you hit and kill off opponents, a gauge at the bottom of the screen will start to fill up. If you can get multiple kills within a minute amount of time, your character will go into perfect mode, where you can receive major experience points for each kill. At the end of each level, your XP is tallied up, and with this XP you can purchase new attacks and upgrades for either your character, or for a bulk of XP more, you can get the same attacks and upgrades for all characters at once, which is actually the better deal. Better to buy in bulk. The new attacks you can purchase really boost the fun factor of the game. It would become so boring, monotonous, and more difficult than it already is if all the game allowed you was to button mash like crazy. Each special attack is triggered by a specific combos of buttons, some of which are more difficult to pull off. Not that they're really hard, but some combos just take one button, and you'll press it like 3 or 4 times in a row. It's still really fun to pull off the combos. As I said a few seconds ago, the game is hard, so much so that it can be quite frustrating at times. Like this scenario here, and by the way, this is only like the second or third level, the point is to run out of the collapsing mountain before you get crushed. However, you have to fight off ghosts with an invisible time limit against you, and also right here, this fog will not allow you to run, just walk. A friend and I found that if you flail your weapons while walking through the mist, you'll move just a little faster. But sometimes that isn't enough. As you will see, the mountain still comes down on you. And so you have to restart the level. There's like very little room for error in this level. It's pretty difficult when playing co-op, but can be agonizingly difficult when just playing in single-player mode. Why? Well, like I said, you have a time limit, and you can't see the countdown, and you have to defeat all of the ghosts yourself within the time limit, and the ghosts can be difficult to take down, and so you have all these variables against you just in practically the beginning of the game. Oh yeah, there are health potions scattered throughout each level, and sometimes enemies drop health potions, but honestly, they're just too few, so that's another thing that makes the game difficult. However, once you complete this level, the game actually becomes playable to the point where you aren't ripping out your hair and falcon-punching Hupo. Not that the game becomes easy, but is actually a good challenge. The graphics are pretty good for the time of its release. There are a few glitches here and there, but nothing that affects the gameplay. The most noticeable, well, it's not a glitch, it's just how the game was programmed, thing of the game is that during the in-game cutscenes, the characters' mouths do not move when speaking.
Who enters my domain?
One who would hold you to your oath.
This right here is just pure laziness of the developers. Yes, it doesn't affect the gameplay, but still, come on. The controls are perfect, actually. Everything works when you want it to. One thing I did think was a bit odd is that if you spam the B button, you can block and parry attacks for virtually forever. It's nice when you're in a jam, but it just looks kind of odd. spazzing out all of the time. I didn't like that the game is pretty short, but then again, since it's based on the movie/books, I guess they did a pretty good job creating filler, even if that filler wasn't in the movie. Maybe it was in the books, I don't know. I also didn't like how you had no control over the camera. It would have been really nice at times, maybe even preventing some deaths. Maybe. But having no control over the camera is just... no, it sucks. The boss battles were few, and they were fun, but it wasn't like you had to use much strategy to beat them. Attack, 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 defend, defend, defend. Rinse and repeat until they're dead. Once you complete certain levels, you are rewarded with bonus content, such as artwork and behind-the-scenes clips. The Lord of the Rings: The Return of the King is a pretty good game. Fun RPG action, pretty good graphics, perfect controls, and playing co-op is really fun. However, the game is a little too short, despite them adding in filler, I'm assuming, and the whole game, even with special attacks and upgrades, can be for the most part frustratingly hard. Even when playing co-op, it's still pretty difficult, so much so that it just decreases the amount of fun. But don't worry, it's definitely not a bad game. It can be very enjoyable, especially when playing with a friend, if you just stick with it and have some patience. This game gets a 3.75 out of 5 with the title of Awesome.